You've got to become an amazing person. You've got to become a person who is the best you can possibly be. You don't need a business opportunity. You don't need a business idea. You don't need money. You just need to become the best person that you can possibly become.
This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. Today's topic is a really cool, interesting, and believe it or not, fun one. It is how to get things done, yes, even when you don't feel like it, if you want to accomplish anything in this world. We talk a lot about doing the things that you want to do and the things that you're really devoted to, but even then, you still have to do things that you don't necessarily feel like doing at the moment, and that's what we're going to talk about today on the How to Quit Working Show. Before we get into that, I want to tell you about the How to Quit Working Circle. Now, if you have not gone over to howtoquitworking.com/circle and entered your information to join the How to Quit Working Circle, I am completely mystified as to why you have not done that. Maybe I haven't explained it well enough. Let me give it another shot. The How to Quit Working Circle is an amazing place where you can go to be around people just like yourself in an amazing Facebook community of people just like you. All they want to do is help, support, encourage, and maybe even do business with you. You also get a free video training series on how to quit your job and start a business. More great concepts like what we talk about here on the How to Quit Working Show, only we get a chance to go into more depth in that. You also get all kinds of free exclusive offers that I only send and information that I only send to members of the How to Quit Working Circle. So head on over to howtoquitworking.com/circle and join us. Now, let's jump into the topic for today. How to get things done even when you don't feel like it. Let's face it, there are always times when we are faced with a task that we have to do that we just don't feel like doing. I don't want to do this right now. I don't feel like doing this. It's not what I want to be doing right now. It's not what I want to be doing today. And that leads to resentment, and it most probably harmfully leads to not doing the thing. And if you want to accomplish things, you gotta do those things. I hope that here on this show we never candy coat anything or never make anything sound like it's easier or funner than it really is. And that's why I wanted to really just attack this topic head on, because let's start with the premise that no matter how well you've designed your life, no matter how on purpose you are, and no matter how good everything is, there are going to be things that you don't want to do. So let's talk about how to actually get those things done. Now, one of the things that I have been doing on the show recently is I have been deriving these concepts from issues that come up with my clients and issues that people email me about, but I would say probably most importantly, issues that I face in my life, and when I have a bit of success getting over them, or I am able to take some of the things that I've learned about human behavior and high performance and apply those to a specific situation, then I like to bring that forward and show you how that works and give you some really specific tactics and things that you can do to actually make this thing work. And the reason that I'm sitting here in this kitchen is because I dealt with this very thing just yesterday. So I'm sitting in the kitchen of a vacant apartment in a building that I own, and the building went on to the market. This particular apartment went onto the market for as available to rent today. And it was necessary that yesterday it be cleaned. So it had to be top to bottom clean, floors had to be scrubbed, the baseboards had to be wiped up, the blinds had to be cleaned, the kitchen had to be cleaned, the stove, the fridge, The dust and the air conditioner vents and everything all had to be cleaned out. It was quite a task. And I had someone lined up to do that yesterday. At the very last minute, this person didn't show up. So I was left with a situation where I basically didn't really have much choice but to roll up my sleeves and clean this apartment myself. Now, a little bit of background about me and cleaning. I think cleaning and grocery shopping are, to me, two of the worst fates that exist. I mean, I like to do things with my hands. I like to work. I like to build things. I like to create things physically. But cleaning is just not something that I, in any shape, form, or fashion, enjoy. So I realized that I was going to have to clean this place all by myself. And it was really kind of soul crushing when I had that realization, because it was Sunday. I had all kinds of other things that I was going to do, and they weren't going to happen because I was going to have to clean this place. And I want to talk about how that kind of played out a little bit, because I think that I did a pretty good job of dealing with it. Now, my initial reaction was, shit, this sucks. My Sunday has been ruined. I'm not going to get to do the things that I want. I've got to clean, and I hate cleaning, and I don't want to do this. It's going to take forever, and just all kinds of negative stuff came rushing into my head. But this is a really important thing about learning how to perform at a high level consistently, and that is when you stop and recognize the thoughts that are going through your head and you begin to challenge them. And I said, okay, let's face it, this building it makes a lot of money. This is a building that I bought really well and have done a lot of work to. It's in an area that is getting better and better, and the building makes a lot of money. So I said, okay, first of all, let's just step back and say, the end result of this is that you're going to be contributing to something that's going to make money. And that's a good thing. And this is also a building that I'm very proud of, because this building was in really bad shape when I purchased it. And it was kind of one of the last really rough buildings on this block. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to take this building and turn it from something that was really ugly and quite problematic in a lot of different ways, and turn it into something that's a really beautiful asset for the neighborhood and for this particular block. So this building is a big source of pride for me. I also got to thinking about the fact that, okay, if I really approach this a little bit more intelligently and a little bit less emotionally, I can potentially make this a more pleasurable experience for me. So I brought my laptop, and I had kind of this backlog of podcasts and YouTube videos that I was wanting to listen to. So I set my laptop up and I hit play on a bunch of these podcasts. I listened to hours and hours. I think I spent probably between 8 and 9 hours here cleaning yesterday, because it was a pretty big job. It's a decent sized apartment and it needed a lot of cleaning. So I got to listen to a whole lot of podcasts. I got to listen to a whole lot of really good information. And again, when I listen to podcasts and YouTube videos and whatnot, it's not silly stuff, it's not entertaining stuff, it's stuff that feeds my brain, makes me a better person, and also feeds my intellect, which allows me to put that back out into the world to you, which is something that I really enjoy. So a couple of things that I did was I said, okay, let's think about the end result of this thing. Let's remember that this is contributing towards something that you're very proud of and that is very important to you. And I said, all right, let's figure out what can I do in the situation to sort of mitigate it, right? And being able to listen to these podcasts gave my brain something to do besides just hating the fact that I was scrubbing the grout on the floor. And then finally, I also made a point to be very present, to be very present in what I was doing, and to really be there and to be in the place doing the thing that I was doing and very focused on it and not off wandering around mentally while I was doing all of that stuff. Now, so those are a couple of really key things that I did that helped this situation to be much better than it could have been. And actually, when I left here last night, I went back and I said, dang, that was a good day. that was a really good day, because I ended up taking this thing that I just really didn't want to do, and I turned it into a really, really good day, and allowed me today to hit the ground running and have a really great day today, and still sort of be floating along on a bit of a high from what could have been a very negative experience that I turned into a very positive experience. So let's break that down a little bit, and in a way that you can apply this to any situation that may come up for you. Now, when you've got that thing that you don't want to do, start by thinking about the end result. Thinking about, what is it that you're really getting from this thing? What is the long-term thing that is coming out of this? And I'm going to give a couple of examples. I know one of the things I hear from folks every once in a while is like, well, kid things come up, right? Like these things come up with your kids, like they get sick and you got to take them to the doctor, or you have to pick them up from school, and it keeps you from doing the things that you really wanted to do that day. And I think in that case, you just got to remember, well, raising this kid is a really, really high priority in my life. This is a really important thing that I'm doing. I'm creating a little human being, and who I'm creating to be a wonderful adult someday. And doing things for that child is contributing to a much larger goal that you have. Now, another example that you might be thinking about is, well, you know, I want to do different things with my life. I want to start a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then work comes along, and I got to go to work. I got to do work. And I don't want to go to work because I don't like my job, because I don't like the people there. I don't like what I do. It's boring, whatever the reason is. You know, you can also flip that around and think of your job as something that is enabling you to do something different. It's enabling you to pay your bills, to put food on the table, to pay your car insurance, to pay your car note, and what have you. It's enabling you to do something else, right? Because if you were unemployed and you weren't able to pay your bills and you weren't able to put food on the table, then you would have a whole different set of problems, and you wouldn't even be focused on what you're focused on to make yourself better, whether that's starting a business or whatever else that may be that you're trying to do to become a better person, because that's really what this is all about, is becoming a better person. So first off, when you've got that thing that you don't want to do, think about what the long-term result is. Think about the larger thing that is going to come out of you doing that activity. And that is going to help you to be able to feel more purpose-based about it. And it will help you to feel less robbed, right? Because when we have this thing that comes up in front of us and we don't want to do it, it tends to make us feel kind of robbed. Like we feel like we're being robbed of that thing that we really wanted to do. Like I felt like I was being robbed of what I really wanted to do yesterday, which was initially not cleaning this apartment, right? So number one, think about the reason why you're doing it and the larger benefit that's going to come from it. Number two, do something to make it tolerable. Do something to make it more pleasant or pleasurable. And this requires creativity. This requires you to think differently than you would normally think, right? Like if you have to perhaps, let's see, what's something that you might have to do? Maybe you have to go to work. And one of the things that I did in my journey towards the end of my time working was I used my commute time to listen to audiobooks. And I listened to a lot of really inspiring audiobooks that gave me hope, gave me knowledge, and gave me information about how I can create a better life for myself. So I was driving into the office and leaving the office with hope, and knowing that I was spending that time doing something that was going to help me to have a better life in the future and to not have to go into that office. So think about, and that's just one example, right? I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do. If we go back to the taking your kid to the doctor example, well, maybe you could play some games with your kid in the car, or play some games with the kid in the waiting room at the doctor's office. And that's a way that you can turn that activity that is not super pleasant or enjoyable into something that is a little bit more enjoyable, getting to spend that quality time or getting to potentially help the child to grow or see new perspectives or what have you. So try to figure out a creative way to make that activity less monotonous, less annoying, less whatever the bad thing about that activity is. Figure out a way to make it less so. Now, you're not going to make it fun. I mean, it's just the reality. It's just the reality. I mean, work is work. There's things you got to do, and you got to do them. And you can only make them so much more pleasurable than they are. But when you combine these three things together, then it gets really powerful. So number one, I'm going to review. Number one is remember why you're doing this thing. Remember that higher reason why you're doing this annoying or monotonous activity. Number two, try to figure out how to make it a little bit more pleasurable. How can you creatively add something or remove something or change that activity to make it a little bit better for you and a little bit more tolerable or palatable for you. And the third thing that you want to do is be very present, because the problem with our little brains, and I say little brains all the time because we have to keep them in perspective. We have to remember that they're just little globs of nerves and neurons and stuff that are bouncing around and doing all kinds of different things, and we have to keep it in check. That's the amazing thing about this brain that we have, is that we have so much control over it, and we have so much control over what it does. We just have to remember that we are in control and we can keep it in check. And one of the best ways to keep your brain in check is to be present, to be completely present where you are, doing what you're doing, and not focusing on anything else. Now, I'll just share with you that I focus very hard on being completely present when I make a video like this. When I make a video like this, I try very hard to have nothing going on in my head other than delivering this information to you. And that is challenging. It's very challenging. I can tell you that twice during this video, my mind has wandered off. It has wandered off to somewhere else. And you can probably tell. You can probably tell by the way I change how I talk. You can probably tell by my level of engagement with the camera and kind of losing my train of thought. And you can tell when that's happening. And I share that because the reality is I'm not perfect and I don't stay present all the time, and I can't. But with practice, I've been able to become much better at that. I've been able to become much better at being able to be completely 100% focused on what I'm doing now. Not what am I going to do when I'm done making this video, not what am I going to do tonight, what am I going to do tomorrow, or any of the other things that I could be thinking about. One of the things that I think about, that I struggle to not think about as I make a video like this is it any good? Are they getting anything out of this? Do they understand? Do they just think I'm babbling? Right? Those are the thoughts that run through my head when I kind of lose presence and lose focus during these videos. And I can tell you it's now happened 3 times during this video. But it's also important to remember not to let it affect you, not to let it frustrate you, not to let it change your level of engagement, and to not let it get you down. Making a video is one thing, right? It's important that I am engaged with you, but this is also important in anything that you do, because when you're scrubbing the floor and you start to think about, what am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to make enough money to support myself? How am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do that? What if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? When you veer off of that, you just get caught into this quagmire of really just descending down into this place of worry and fret and anxiety and just overall negative, terrible feelings that just aren't fun and don't help you to get done the thing that you have to get done that is right in front of you. And the reason that so many folks have trouble getting things done is because they're not focused on that thing that is right in front of them. For me right now, there is only one thing right in front of me, and that is this camera and this video that I'm making. It is the only thing that it is appropriate for me to focus on at this very moment. It is the only thing that it is appropriate for me to focus on at this very moment. If I were to focus on anything else in the entire world, if I were to focus on anything else, it detracts from what I'm doing. It makes what I'm doing right now of less quality. It makes it less enjoyable. It makes me less focused on it, and it makes a poorer product in the end. That's why focus, presence, concentration, whatever you want to call it, is so important in what you're doing. And what's really amazing is when you can reach a point where no matter what you're doing, you can be completely at peace with it and completely present in the moment and completely enjoying it. I had a big milestone in my own personal journey, probably 5 or 6 years ago. This was some time ago. I was reading a book. It was probably some Eckhart Tolle, and he was talking about how you can be present in the moment no matter what you're doing. And I said, okay, fine, Eckhart, I'll take that challenge. I'm going to see if I can be present and enjoy washing dishes. Remember, I already talked about how much cleaning is just not a thing that I'm really that into. So I was like, can I get really present and really enjoy myself while I wash dishes? And I was like, oh wow, I can actually do this. And it's about shutting down all that crap that's going on in your brain and just focusing on washing that glass, or just focusing on washing the back of that plate, feeling what the back of that plate feels like, noticing, you know how like the ridge under the plate that it sits on is rougher than the rest of the material, noticing little things like that. And when you can reach a point where you can actually cherish moments like that, then you become a really, really powerful person. So be the kind of person who can get comfortable and present doing things doing anything at any time, no matter what it is. Be comfortable and at peace and relaxed with whatever that thing is, whether it's writing a business plan, washing a dish, cleaning an apartment, taking a kid to the doctor, driving your car, or doing a job that you don't like. You can get to a point where you're totally okay with that thing and totally at peace with it. So to review, number one, the first thing that you want to do when you've got something to do that you don't feel like doing is to remember the reason why you're doing it. Remember the purpose that you're doing it for, and remember what you're ultimately going to get from doing that thing. Number two is to do something to make it a little bit more tolerable, whatever that is. Get creative, play some music while you do it in a different way, do it with some different people, whatever you have to do. And then finally, be completely and totally present and focused on that thing that you're doing. If you can master those three things, you can then be the person that does the thing that is right in front of you, instead of focusing on the things that are 6 steps away, letting this thing fall and making that gap even larger between where you are and where you want to be. I hope that was helpful. These things that I share are things that I've discovered over a very long period of time, going through a lot of really major ups and some really major downs on my journey. And I hope that these things help you, and that's why I'm sharing them, and that's why I'm trying to share more new and different ideas with you. I'm sharing more stuff recently, I hope you've noticed, about becoming the person that you need to become to be a successful entrepreneur, actually changing how you behave, not who you are, because who you are is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with who you are. You're a great person, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this show. But changing how you're behaving and changing how you approach life, how you view things, and how you actually act on a regular basis is what makes you successful as an entrepreneur, not what you know. The information, you can get that anywhere. If you really are ready to become the most amazing person that you've ever imagined it's possible to be, then go over to howtoquitworking.com/kickstart and jump in the Kickstart program, because that's where I show you a simple process to identify a business idea that people are going to want and then find the people who want that thing. When you put those two together, then you've got a business that actually makes money. But one of the things that I also focus on in that course is the high performance module. There is some amazing stuff, just like what we've talked about here in that program, that will help you to become that amazing person that you need to become in order to be successful. You've got to become an amazing person. You've got to become a person who is the best you can possibly be. You don't need a business opportunity. You don't need a business idea. You don't need money. You just need to become the best person that you can possibly become. And then the rest really doesn't matter after that. Go over to howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. Become the best person that you can possibly become. I look forward to seeing you in Kickstart, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the How to Quit Working Show.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working Show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you, who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.